let us all go through them. A little bit about my own self, because many people are newcomers today. I am Dr. Newton, and my name I received from my father because he is a physics lecturer, smart of all scientists names. So at a very young age, my father gifted me this name, and that made me really go through a lot of challenges, because I could never match up to Isaac Newton. Because when a child can't measure up to something that father or mother expects them, there will be some kind of shame in them. As a child, I used to feel that. Whenever I was scoring good marks and failure and all the time, and always feeling not good enough. I'm not enough in the studies, I can't excel. All these thought forms were there. Thoughts create reality. Negative thoughts, negative reality. Right? Positive thoughts, positive reality. So this is what happened to me as a child. And when I reached to around 1987, 17 years old, my life was very, very difficult by the time. Because I was studying in Telugu medium before, and I have to shift into college where I have to take study in English, everything in English. So it's a big challenge. And I was not so fluent in English, I can't understand, I don't know proper grammar. So all these challenges were there, and it took so much time for me. And during that time, 1987, I was studying senior intermediate. I was also very backbencher and not excelling in the studies. That moment, what happened is my father gifted me a book. The name of the book is Jonathan Livingston Seagull, written by Richard Bach. This is the story of a bird which tries to find the meaning of life and to understand the potential that is existing. So that has inspired me to such an extent that I was able to tune into my potential inside. Actually, I really excelled in senior intermediate. I passed with really first class marks, and then there was the entrance examination in that time, medical entrance. I stood the first attempt itself, I had the medical seat. So this is my story of how I could raise from very, very low levels of low confidence, low self-worth, I am not good enough, this kind of state of being, to such beautiful state of being where I felt first time I am good enough. That the potential inside everyone, it can be awakened. This is my story that I want to share with you. So friends, later on the entire life unfolded in front of me. The Life University actually is a creation by a team of all of us who wanted to offer a beautiful wisdom, who can understand the true potential, the soul deep in us, which has such a greater intelligence, which can be awakened, which can be brought into manifestation. So it's a spiritual wisdom or soul's wisdom which can actually channel this energy in the right direction. Today let me speak through some principles that every child, every student can apply in their life to tap into this hidden potential. So friends, when there is a right direction, there is a wrong direction also. That means, so we can be actually going into a very wrong path, wrong direction, every child. Their thoughts can go into different direction. Thoughts shape up the reality. So it's important that this, whatever that's going to be shared today, It's going to be very, very helpful for you, all the students here and all the parents. Actually, it is helpful for everyone because we don't need to be students to apply these principles in our daily life in order to be benefited. So everyone has a potential. Every housewife has a potential. Every woman, every man, every employee, everyone needs to apply these principles. So let us how to channel this energy that we have. You know, we are all energy beings. We all know that we sometimes feel very good energy, very powerful energy inside, like so much of bubbling energy, excitement, enthusiasm, all that. But sometimes we feel so down. We feel drained. We feel not so much energy inside. We feel so tired, right? Sometimes we feel that. And in that moment we deviate also sometimes. Oh, I'm not good enough. This is my goal, this is my dream of life, but I can't fulfill it. I can never reach my goal. Oh, I am only this much. We have certain limiting thoughts, certain limiting ideas that sabotages our creation. Whatever that we want to create in our life, or personal dream, or wishes, or whatever goals that you have set for yourself. So we can find out this, how to shift these thought forms, how to become aware of the thoughts, so that you can transplant new thoughts. You can transplant new belief. There's a saying from Richard Bach. It says, argue for your limitations. Sure enough, they are yours. You limit yourself by your thoughts. That's the main principle. So friends, the first principle is all children are inherently spiritual beings with great sensitivity. All children, they are naturally divine beings. All children, without exception. Every child is born with such beautiful intelligence, beautiful creativity, and beautiful ways of actually creating their life. They know that how to do this. What happens is when we start growing up, somewhere we start believing in a different way. Children, they sometimes go through some situations, and in that moment they feel I'm not good enough. For example, one small thing that I want to share is about comparisons. When children are compared, you are not doing good, the other child is doing good, neighbor's child is doing good, your sister is doing good, better than you. The child, this seed thought goes into their minds. I am not good enough, I can't excel, my sister does good in studies, I'm not good enough. This small single thought that is going to be embedded in this subconscious mind, it's really going to grow big later on. So many such several situations that happens at a very younger age for a child, they start going away from this natural divinity inside them. They move away from their natural heritage or intelligence that they are born with. Every child is actually very, very super intelligent. All children are super kids. Only thing is somewhere we lose contact with this inner intelligence that a child has got. For various reasons, conditioning and in the family system as well as the schools also, a child starts actually feeling a lot of pressure, a lot of stress, a lot of tension, a lot of fear also. Fear is one thing. Fear of failure, fear of examinations, all these things. These are the thoughts. Thoughts create reality. Thoughts shape up reality. That's what we need to understand. So, and the children are very, very great sensitive beings. As adults, we are sometimes we know how to defend ourselves, how to protect ourselves, but children are very sensitive. Sometimes they don't express. they are affected very, very badly. Their interactions with the adult world or teachers or any situations, it immediately affects a child. They become very withdrawn sometimes. They stop believing in themselves. They lose trust about their capacities and skills. If you all contemplate on this truth, you will also realize it in your life. If you review from your childhood, what kind of influences you receive from your upbringing and about the school, and in the school what happened to you. Sometimes we have these kind of thoughts which came into our minds, and we became so helpless because we don't know how to change these thoughts, how to work on these thoughts, and we go on actually multiplying this kind of limiting thoughts and limiting beliefs. So that's why it's so important that we need to understand the sensitivity of children. And in spite the children have gone through some tough times, hard times in childhood, they can also now come out of it. There are certain tools of awareness for them which can make them to come out of it. So as a child you experience certain things, now you don't know how to deal with it. You have certain tools. You can repair those thought forms. So friends, every child is only given about information about IQ. We all know that in all the schools IQ is tested, intelligence quotient. It's called logical intelligence, which is very important. Memorizing things, processing, analyzing skills, all that is intelligence quotient, IQ. But intelligence quotient is only 1% of our greater intelligence that we have. What is untapped in a child is EQ and SQ. EQ is called emotional quotient or emotional intelligence. Or SQ is called spiritual quotient, spiritual intelligence, which is not known. So even in the schooling and while we are in academics, what we do is we give so much importance to develop our IQ, the logical, left brain, all that, but we completely ignore the other part of the intelligence that is there. This SQ can be called as intuitive intelligence. Logic versus intuition. Intuition is much more far deep. It is there in every child, being a very spiritually divine being, naturally born that way, and they have this access to deep spiritual intelligence. And it is still there, in every child it is there. One can access it, one can bring it out. And all scientists actually were so interested, deeply interested to know about what's happening in the brain, Why God has kept two cerebral hemispheres. Why only one brain? We have two cerebral hemispheres, left side and right side, which are connected by one corpus callosum, which is called a connecting link between these two brains hemispheres. So in these two brain hemispheres, they all perform very different functions. For example, your left brain is performing this intelligence of logic. It's about logic, analysis, and it's a linear, it's a calculation. All that is by your left brain. What is untapped in a child is called intuitive, creative, and ESP. Intuitive, I told about the intuitive intelligence, the spiritual intelligence. And creative intelligence. Every child is very creatively intelligent, but that goes into into dormancy. Like how seeds, they remain seeds without germinating into plants, because they have not received enough of the right conditions. They need sunlight, they need water, they need a lot of oxygen, all that. These ambience need to be there for the child's seed intelligence to sprout, to germinate, to become huge trees. So, ESP is, I'm going to talk about, this is called inner senses, extrasensory perception. Every child is very, very spiritually very sensitive. They have these different skills called intuitive inner senses, skills of which logic fails to understand. It's a deep intuition and telepathy, clairvoyance, and seeing, ability to see the colors, auras around the people. Aura is electromagnetic radiation around the people. A child till 5 years age, they can see the auras. And this right brain is highly imaginary brain. It's the power of imagination which need to be tapped into, because all the immense possibilities a child can access through this right brain mode. So it's today we all can actually embrace the whole brain approach. Not only left brain, right brain approach. A child can bring this deep intelligence of this right brain and then awaken the true potential. They can actually, for example, you are studying a subject and you're going to take around say 20 hours to complete one small book. What you remember is only maybe 10% of it if you read one time. Not entire thing you are grasping it. What we do with the left brain is you will study it again. Second review you will do. Before examination you do a review. Third review. When you review it, you will grasp more. You will absorb now 50% second review. Third review, you will absorb 90%. But right brain approach is totally different. It's a deep spiritual intelligence of a child which knows how to not only memorize things, understand the core of the subject, the topic, or essence of that knowledge that's present in that subject. Whatever subject, whether it's mathematics or social studies or sciences, it could be any subject. Because most of the times, we don't understand the subject, we just mug up the things, we just memorize the things. Only logical left brain approach. It's serving a great purpose. We need to memorize certain things, but there is something else also. You will have photographic memory. You can just remember each and every sentence and word and pages and entire book, which can be stored in a right brain. There's such an intelligence existing for every child. And the second principle is called power of creativity. As I told, there is a creative intelligence in every child. The creative endeavors of a child need to be encouraged. This is for the advice for all the parents. Sometimes we feel, my child is more interested in music and he wants to learn singing and dance, but he's not ignoring the academics. But know that this, whatever the creative arts they are learning, it awakens the hidden potential. The right brain is opening up. For example, when they are singing, learning the music, Carnatic or Hindustani, classical music or dance, whatever they take up, creativity like painting, arts, all that, it awakens the right brain mode. All the neuronal cells they open up, they get charged. And there is an innate creative talent, ability in every child. Every child is born with this gift of creative talent. It's the role of the parents and teachers to identify it, recognize my child has this beautiful creative talent. There are many creative talents. It need not be just only arts and like the painting and the dancing and singing. There are thousands of such creative arts, creative and talents existing in every child. They have different types of intelligences, even the spiritual intelligences, there are different types. There is a beautiful research done Scientists have identified there are 9 types of intelligences in a child. In our school system, we are only bothered about or focused on only logical intelligence. We want only IQ. But there's a visual intelligence, there's a spatial intelligence, the kinesthetic intelligence. Some children are very kinesthetic, means body, they learn through the body sensations. Everything has to be learned from movements. Different schools tried this kind of methodology, where children who are not able to learn through logical intelligence, they applied kinesthetic intelligence for them. Through movements they started learning. For example, they learn about a mathematical formula they are not able to remember through logical intelligence. The child is taught through steps, through movements. A plus b whole square equal to a square plus b square plus 2ab. These kind of small things, they can be taught. Some children, they feel it's very, very difficult to remember. They can't grasp, understand it. So through movement they learn. This is called kinesthetic intelligence. There's a visual intelligence. Children can learn through the right brain, which is access to the third eye or the inner eye that we all have. It's the eye of imagination, which they can access that visual intelligence. They store the information and they can always recapitulate. They retrieve that information that is stored in the brain cells. So this creative talent and skill, it opens the brain cells, which is very, very important, encouraging a child to be very creative. There is no one way. There are many, many ways to go through to find a solution for a problem, or it could be anything. So every child can brought out this creative hidden creative talent. When a creative expression is stopped, what happens is it becomes destructive. The creativity is not expressed, it's buried deep inside a child's subconscious mind. What happens is, because it could not be expressed, it leads to even certain kinds of disorders. The child is only very, very accessing very, very superficial part of their intelligence. This creativity deep down inside them needs to be brought out. The spiritual approach or the meditation approach, it brings this hidden talent, skill, creative talent. Children, they can actually bring it out so that they can access the right brain completely. And the third point is emotional alchemy. It comes under emotional intelligence. So we are talking about IQ, we are talking about EQ, emotional intelligence, and SQ, spiritual intelligence. Many times, the child also, they go through certain kinds of emotions, distress, tensions, worries, anxiety, stress, fear. The fear of examination is equally there. In every child it is found. Nowadays it's much more, You forget because of your fear, you forget even whatever that you studied. It happens for every child. Because the fear is the thing that is the emotion that's surfacing. That sabotages, that shuts down the neuronal cells. Children need to be given these tools where they can handle these emotional energies. Sometimes child won't express this, but they go through a lot of frustration inside. Such a level of frustration, and it is expressed sometimes as anger. They are not able to do well in the school. The teachers will be asking, why are you failing? Why are you failing? Child has no answer. I am failing because I don't know why I am failing. Why I don't remember, I don't know. The child will be very honest and authentic about this. And what happens is they go through a lot of frustration, unexpressed emotion. That brings out a lot of anger in them. Because they don't know what it is. And this heavy pressure on a child, the child feels this anger inside. They don't know how to deal with this anger now. Because it is my own story of my life. Once upon a time I was so angry person. With an anger, it is very destructive emotion. You will destroy the beauty of life with anger. I didn't know how to express this anger. So at that point of time I became very destructive, self-destructive, because I can't pass on these emotions to others, throw it on other people. So I started becoming introvert. It is inside me, and it is beautiful. It is actually destroying my life at that point. I used to find many ways where I get hurt. I meet accidents as a child, because that's a way to express the anger. And it's a way, this anger used to make me fail all the time. I used to all the time get these angry thoughts, but I never could express it. And I had the fear of being inadequate, fear of not good enough in studies, not good enough in speaking in front of people. That really is something very, very huge for me. I don't know how to deal with it. There's such an anger. Children, all of you, how many of you had this kind of sometimes experience frustration, anger? Oh, adults also, they're little nice. I think it's as human beings, we all experience it, no exception to this. All of us at some point of our life. And it's okay that we are feeling these things, but there's a way to transform. Alchemy is a transformation. We can actually transmute and transform. Today we will learn something very, very beautiful. How to transform your negative emotion to positive emotion. Do you want to learn? Children, I want to hear from the children also. In the middle they are sitting and yeah. Yes, I want to hear it. Yes. No, I'm not able to hear. Yes. Again? Yes. Very good, very good. So, if we are holding any kind of emotion which is really bothering us, it could be fear, it could be frustration, helplessness, low self-confidence, low self-esteem, low self-worth, you feel very unworthy, low self-worth, all this, it's going to be staying inside you. With that emotional energy, you will not be able to bring out your best of you. For example, you are opening your book, with this kind of energy of anger, you will not be able to study well. You will not be able to really channel your energy towards something beautiful, something positive and creative. It only sabotages your energy or efforts. With angrily, you will try to read book, but you will not grasp anything. Nothing goes into your brain cells, nothing is stored in the neuronal cells. So, that anger or fear or any emotion that we go through, it can be initially identified, where you give a color and shape to it, a form to it. Then you can shift it to something very positive image, where it represents something very positive emotion. So, for example, if you are a happy person, if you are very enthusiastic, excited about your life, about your exams, you will do something different, energy comes out of you. Rather than fear. Fear energy stops you. So, all of us we can do this now. Okay? Yeah? So, please close your eyes. All of us, let us, or even adults also, we can go through this. Elders also, teachers, parents, all of us. Because it's such a beautiful tool. Many parents, they can offer it to your children in the schools. And it's such an easy and simple transformative tool. So as you close your eyes, bring your attention to your inhalation and exhalation. Inhale and exhale with all the awareness. This is called mindfulness of breathing. Watch the breath. Be with your breath. The monkey thoughts will come. The monkey mind will be very active. Don't worry about the monkey mind. The thoughts will grow and come to you. It creates a lot of distraction. But right now, only be with the breath. with your eyes closed. And I'd like you to now focus your attention on one negative emotion which you have been experiencing in your life, either in your studies or in your exams or in your general life. It could be anger, fear, sadness, it could be anything. Just focus on it. Focus your mind on it. Remember the memories when you felt this feeling and sensation. And also now, feel it in the body. You store this emotion also in the body. When there is emotion that's coming to us, we feel it strongly, intensely in the body also. We feel, with the sadness, we feel very heavy in the heart. With the fear, you'll be trembling and shaking. There's a trembling feeling that comes to you. Right now, focus on it, feel it fully in the body. And I'd like you to represent this emotion, negative emotion, with a color and shape. Whatever that comes to you, very naturally. Any color or shape that comes to you. Right now, I'd like you to change this color and shape to a different color and shape which is very positive, which represents a positive state of being, a positive emotion. For example, you have sadness, you can shift it to happiness. If you're fearful, it is shifted to courage. Think about a new color, a new form and shape. Now, the earlier color, shape, form, image, which is representing negative emotion, anger, sadness, fear, could be any other negative emotion. You can completely make it shrink in size, that color and shape and form. And the positive color, shape and form can be enhanced, make it big and huge, brighter. Let it occupy your mind screen completely. And let the old image, old color, form totally dissolve into this new form and color and shape. At this moment, you can say to yourself, I now completely embrace my new positive emotion. And you say goodbye to your old previous emotion, whether it is anger, sadness, or it be anything. Say goodbye to earlier old emotion. And let this new emotional state or new emotion stay with you. It generates positive state of being in you. At this moment, whenever you are ready, you can start slowly returning down, watching the breath and the 10 seconds. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, friends, slowly you open your eyes. Just gently touch your eyes with hands. Slowly you open your eyes. So, How many of you could do it? When you given a color and shape, you played with the color and shape and changed it? That's fantastic. Wonderful, wonderful. And can you turn to your friend next to you and share your experience? Whoever is sitting, maybe stranger also, it's okay. You can say that this was my old color, shape, and this was, I was focusing on it, it shifted to this new color. Just speak to your neighbor, whoever is there. Take another 2 minutes. Quick sharing, you can share only summary of your response. Okay, friends. Okay. So now 1 or 2 experiences we'll share in a group. Who would like to share 1 or 2 experiences? Yeah, one of these, please. Yeah, you want to share?
Thought process, the lecture process came to my mind is like a, missile with red color. That was the name.
Missile with red
color, which was in a huge shape and much bigger than I started. Then it comes to the positive side, I started thinking of a yellow rosebud, which was very small. In the end of the process, missile has become a medium size and disappears. And now this yellow rosebud in a much bigger size occupies my mind. That's what I was doing.
So this is such a simple tool. It was actually we meditated only less than 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes you could shift it. And if you learn it, you'll be able to do it. Whenever there is a negative emotion which is coming, anger, sadness, frustration, helpless feeling, fear, you can do it then and there. Just close your eyes quietly and then shift it. And the children, mostly, they suppress these emotions. They don't express. It is buried inside them. It stays for whole life. Instead, they can transform it. Generally, sports is a wonderful way where these emotions are naturally get expressed. When you play sports, when children are also allowed to play sports, football and cricket and whatever those things, it need not be all the time playing. You have to follow the balance, middle path. Little time for playing, play hours, and then all these emotions they can go away. Negative emotions particularly. One more experience we'll share. Would like to share? Yeah, please.
You can see.
Yeah, my name is Simran. I had a negative emotion is sadness, and I also a red triangle with the black kind of like that no entry. Suddenly feel
That's really wonderful.
So, all of us, we have these inner images. These inner images are frozen, stuck inside our minds. We tend to react in certain ways. We tend to become irritated and angry or sad and fearful, and we go on actually emoting the same ways. Students, children, their natural intelligence is sabotaged because of that. Beautiful emotional energy is there that can be channeled in a very positive, constructive, creative direction, which can really make them grow in leaps and bounds. Thanks for sharing. This is how it can be done, emotional alchemy. And the third one, meditation and awareness practices will make children to connect with strength in them. Meditation and awareness practices, both. What is meditation and what is awareness practices? Meditation is actually mastering this monkey mind. To master this monkey mind, we need to give ourselves little time. For example, whatever our age is, that many minutes. You are a 5-year-old child, you can spend 5 minutes. You are 10-year-old, 10 minutes. That's all. 50-year-old adult, 50 minutes. Adults, they need to do longer meditation. Because in the meditation, when you close your eyes and observe the breath, your mind becomes quiet, silent. The thoughts initially will come, but later on, all the thoughts will be dissolving. Because your focus is only on breathing. Meditation is a very important practice. On a daily basis, if you give yourself enough time, at least single time, that you can sit quietly with your eyes closed, you will be tremendously benefited. When I started my meditation practice in 1989, I was actually studying in Kurnool Medical College. Initially, I didn't know the practice of meditation. I only read Jonathan Livingston Seagull, which brought out my hidden potential. When I started actually meditation practice, I developed intuitive intelligence, spiritual intelligence. Only single time reading, that's enough. I grasp the subject. I can recall. There's no fear. Meditation dissolves the fears. You'll be so focused, and the concentration ability of the mind is improved tremendously. The scientists have researched, they have taken the brain scans, the functional MRIs, which can study the brain, vascular blood supply of the brain, non-meditator and meditator. They found that a meditator, the frontal lobes, which are important for concentration abilities, these neuronal cells have ability to concentrate. So there's more blood supply that's coming to a meditator. That's what is observation done by scientists. That means when you are meditating, it's not just a passive, silent, something like escapism. There's something is happening biochemically, physiologically, neuronal cells also, there's something is shifting inside brain cells. Even the brain is wired with EEG, electroencephalogram, like ECG. EEG waves, electrodes are connected, and then they recorded the brain wave. They notice that whenever a child or anybody is meditating, the brain waves are changed, pattern is changed. They're going into more alpha rhythm or theta and delta. Generally, we have beta waves. It's more of active brain, thinking and thinking and thinking, and we get exhausted. Sometimes most of the thoughts are negative in nature. We feel so terrible about thinking, too much thinking. Many children, if they start meditation practice, they will actually access this beautiful intelligence that's there. Their concentration ability, memory power, all that gets improved. And second is awareness practices, which means practicing moment to moment living. Awareness means if you are in this moment, only be in this moment. Not to think about your past. And not to think whatever activity that you are doing, you need to be focused on that activity. While you are eating food, don't watch television. While you are watching television, don't eat food. Don't be a person who is doing multiple activities at the same time. Do one thing at a time. When you are studying, study only. Only study. Don't think about play. Don't think about movies. Don't think about anything else. Buddha was asked about what is meditation practice. He answered, walk while you are walking, eat while you are eating. When you are walking, just need to be plain walking. Walk with awareness. You know why many accidents will happen? Lack of awareness. Then suddenly the mind is somewhere else. Instead of right side, they have to signals, they have to take the right, they take the left. Then they get collide and meet accidents. So many times, a child is also, the mind is somewhere else, it's wandering somewhere else. The child needs to be here and now. That's a practice. If you start practicing meditation, silent meditation every day, your awareness will be increasing, expanding, exponentially. You become very, very aware. So, I asked you what is awareness? Children, one child I want to ask, what is awareness? Yes, one child, what is awareness?
Awareness is you have to be aware of everything you do. Everything at a time.
That's perfect.
You can do many things at the same time. You do one thing at a time. Walk while you are walking, eat while you are eating, read while you are reading, and sleep while you are sleeping, and meditate while you are meditating. Okay? That is awareness. Living in the moment. Did you all understand this point, friends? Okay? Yeah, that's very good. And now coming to the fifth point, competition. Competition versus collaboration. Generally, now it's such a competitive atmosphere. Never it was there before in the ancient times, or say 3-4 decades back. There's less technology and there's no such competition. Now suddenly you find access of information is possible for everyone. There's huge competition in academics. And for the students, for the children, huge competition. It's like you have to be in the race, you have to come first, or at least you must be top 10 people or top 50 people. There's a huge competition and it brings tremendous stress. But competition is supposed to be increasing your competence. You need to compete with your own self, not to compete with anybody else. We need to understand this. Generally, we compete with others. We feel so low because others are doing good and I'm not doing good. You feel I'm failure in life. I'm not good enough. I'm failing in maths. I can never learn maths. This kind of thought forms are coming. But compete with yourself. Know that from yesterday to today, let there be tremendous growth. Yesterday I learned this much, now